We are read from Luke 22:63-71. The man them, we did a guard Jesus, start to laugh after him and beat him up. Then put cloth over him eye and say, so you say you are a prophet? So tell we, who lick you? And them say all sort of other terrible sin against him. When morning come, the group will make up of the head priest and the law teacher them meet up and give order for Jesus come before them. Them say, if you are the Christ, tell we. Jesus answer, if me tell you, you no go believe me. And if me ask you no go answer. From now on, the man where God pick, I go sit down at the right hand of God, we powerful. Then them say, where we want more witness for? We hear it come out of him own mouth. Luke 22:63-71.
Hello and welcome to this Palm Sunday edition of Jamaica Magazine. We are now in the month of April and the Holy Week, the final lap of the Lenten season, which ends on April 6, Holy Thursday. The Easter holidays follow right after. Want some other good news? As of yesterday, April 1, the flat rate for minimum weekly pension increases from $1,700 to $3,000. Those who are currently receiving $2,500 will now receive $3,500 per week, while those at the top will move from $3,400 to $4,200 per week. There's more. The Heart NSTA Trust has now removed all tuition and administrative fees for its programs up to level 4 or associate degree level. There is more good news to be found inside today's magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. See you on the other side of this break.
There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. All right, to have you on my dreamland would be like heaven to me, and surely we'll never die. Surely, oh, we'll never die. Oh, won't you wait and see?
The following is an excerpt from the 2023-2024 budget presentation by Prime Minister the Most Honourable Andrew Holness.
I'm pleased to update this Honourable House of the following achievements. We have now confirmed the Kingston and St. Andrew Pedro Keys Development Order. NEPA has prepared master plans for Halfway Tree and Constant Spring planning areas that are now being finalized, and it is anticipated that the plans will be approved by the Town and Country Planning Authority within the first quarter of the new financial year. It is further anticipated that we will be in a position to confirm development orders for St. Thomas, St. Elizabeth, and the municipality of Portmore in the new financial year. Despite the robust economic contributions made by the construction sector, the government cannot ignore the negative impacts from some of these developments, as well as the impact on our citizens who live within close proximity of the development. Not all developers and contractors and investors present a challenge. Some are very professional. There are some who do not comply with the environmental safeguard, the planning laws, the Building Act, and the Building Code. They pay little regard. They negatively impact spaces. They destroy trees and foliage. They damage verges and roads. And they leave behind concrete spills, which creates a hazard for the road. They do this without facing any penalty or having to compensate. The government has taken the decision to impose impact fees to mitigate against damage, against improper and unprofessional development. From these impact fees, the NWA and the municipal authorities, where appropriate, will execute a program to remediate and restore. The impact fees will be predicated and determined by using a calculation that will take into account the condition of the communities prior to the start of construction. The rationale, purpose, structure of the fees, management, as well as the details of the administration and operations of the impact fees will be outlined in a ministry paper that I will table in the first quarter of this new financial year. We don't want to stop development. We are the government of development, but we are also the government of order. Order. Order.
Now I'm dreaming of a new Jamaica, a land of peace and love. Some say they cannot see no hope, that's why they leave this land. But I am no without a fear, and that's why I wrote this song. Come along, me say, all who believe in love, come sing this song with me. Sing this song now. All who believe in love, come sing this song with me. Yo, sweet, sweet Jamaica, me ackee and me saltfish, roast yam and banana.
On Get the Facts this week, we joined the Minister of Health and Wellness in a one-on-one discussion on mental health and interventions to bring support services to communities.
Welcome to Get the Facts. This is the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has launched an intervention to bring mental health support services to communities. This will be done through an initiative called Problem Management Plus, PM Plus for short. And it is being implemented in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization and forms part of the island's National Mental Health Response Program. In studio with me is Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton. Welcome to the program, Minister Tufton.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's jump right into getting some facts. Now, some might say Jamaicans handle their problems. We do our thing. We're a hardy and tough people. What is it that your ministry sees that makes a program like PM Plus necessary?
Right. So I do agree that we're a proud people and we like to manage our affairs in a manner of speaking. But in 2016, when I became Minister of Health and Wellness, I commissioned a mental illness and homelessness task force to do a report, which showed that 4 of every 10 Jamaicans at some point in their lives have some sort of mental instability, whether it is anxiety, depression, feelings of loneliness, and then of course you can go up to the higher levels, which is institutionalization. Then we had COVID, which amplified the situation. And the manifestations of that is the number of calls that come into our helpline, suicide prevention helpline, actual suicide rates year over year, almost 100% increase over 21 over 22. From 30 odd to 60 plus, and 15 up to the end of January, which suggests that we could be seeing a record year again. Just the general numbers of persons who have relationship issues, personal issues, and who call in to get support. So COVID has actually made it worse. And part of the post-COVID analysis has been to identify the problem, sort of post-COVID side effects, if you will, and to find a way to try to help the population to cope with the problem. And mental wellness or mental health issues is a very, very dominant issue, which is what this program helps to address.
Right, PM Plus. Now, you listed quite a few of them. Suicide was there. I assume that we could also put the loss of livelihood. You mentioned.
Yeah. Those are causes of persons feeling depressed, feeling lonely, having, depressing thoughts, suicidal tendencies, all very real in our society, both at all age cohort, including our school population, and we have a special intervention for them.
Right.
This program, this PM Plus is for the community-based intervention. So we're trying to tackle it on all fronts.
Okay, I'm still reeling a little bit, to be honest, from the 4 out of 10.
Yes.
That's a heavy statistic right there.
Yes, so if 5 of us in this room, that means for 1 or 2 of us are likely to have that problem. But it's important to raise it, and it's not intended to make the population depressed. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we have to do with mental health is to normalize it.
Right.
We need to say to the population, it is okay to feel lonely. It is okay sometimes that you'll feel depressed over one thing or another. Mm-hmm. Substance abuse is a big causation factor also. What we have to do is to ensure that when you get into that space or that zone, right, you seek help. In other words, you don't suffer in silence.
And you know where to go.
And this is what this community intervention is about, because what it means training community leaders, whether they're in the church, yes, the community centers, just the shopkeeper who is an influencer, and give them the basic rules of helping ordinary people to solve problems and to recognize that they have a problem.
Recognize. Well, let's go in a little bit more on that. Mm-hmm. You've mentioned community several times. Mm-hmm. So this isn't something where I have an issue and I am reaching out to the ministry, per se.
No.
Tell me a little bit more about the...
Okay, so what it is, in collaboration with PAHO, we have a training manual. Mm-hmm. So we invite community-based groups to identify individuals who provide some leadership at their level.
Right.
And there's a screening process to determine if these people are suitable. Mm-hmm. And then they are subjected to a training over a period of time, which basically helps them to solve problems that people have within the community. Okay. By interacting with those persons, recognizing that they have an issue, walking them through the issue, and helping them to solve it. So it's really a problem-solving tool. And those persons who are the problem solvers are trained so to do and are certified so to do based on this sort of international PAHO-driven benchmark approach to solving problems. We live in a high trauma society. People solve domestic disputes with sticks and stones and guns, as opposed to talking it out and winning the argument.
Sometimes it's less physical now and it goes online.
So there is cyber abuse.
Right.
And all of this contributes to a pileup of people in the accident and emergency wards in our hospitals. A big part of it. So that intervention is very necessary because what it does is to intervene in the early stages of a concern or an issue, right, and prevent it from becoming aggravated and worse, which may lead to either institutionalization in the hospital or in the prison or indeed, unfortunately, in the morgue.
Right.
So that's the sort of very simplistic explanation of it. And it works because the people who are in these communities who are trained are persons who know the people, right, and who already carry a degree of influence and leadership. So it could be the pastor, it could be the choir leader, or it could be this young sports leader in the sports club. We go right across the board to find that person.
So the mandate isn't just to see the problems, but it's actually to seek out and take a more proactive approach.
Yes.
Not just wait until something goes bad.
Right. No. It's not an intervention to in that way. It's more a preventative measure to stave off any more serious issue. It does also have the capacity, the trainees, to elevate the issue if the issue is out of their scope to deal with.
Okay.
Obviously, in areas of serious mental health challenges, one may need a psychiatrist or a psychologist,
right.
or even institutionalization. We're not asking people to intervene when people clearly need medication or need to be institutionalized or need greater support.
But first point of contact.
And the kind of psychosocial support. So, you may have a student who is depressed because of schoolwork. And as a consequence, it immobilizes them. They can't concentrate. They are depressed. They can't function. someone in that community can actually walk them through, as a guidance counselor would in a school setting. And what we try to do is to create enough of those persons to be able to help us as our outreach in that community. But we have the experts who you can elevate the problem to if it requires that. So it's really about trying to formalize it and to create an army of people. I said at the launch of the program that we are a society in distress based on those numbers that I've given you.
Right.
It's not that there's not a lot of good things with the country. There are a lot of very good things, a lot of positive things. But COVID has been particularly difficult on one's mental state. Yeah. It was the greatest challenge to mankind in 100 years. And you kind of expect that it would have created a lot of anomalies and amplified a lot of issues. You know, students staying home for 2 years without social interaction. They have lost their sense of that kind of interaction going back to school. It's almost like they're on their own.
And we're beginning to see those anomalies come to front. And you're
seeing those things coming out. We have a special program for the schools where we have trained about 500 staff members to do that kind of intervention also.
Well, Minister, let me break it here. I want to ask you a bit more about that, but we have to go to our break right now. So don't go anywhere. We're continuing the conversation on PM+. Please stay with us.
Brethren, the road signs make the traffic environment safe. The green light means go. Red means stop. Amber also means stop. Yeah man, it don't mean you must speed up. And get this, even if the light's on green, when the traffic is thick, don't bother move off and block the intersection. And please, don't stop on a pedestrian crossing. Look out for children, the disabled and the elderly. Follow the signs so they all can arrive alive. Be a good road user. Obey the road signs and look out for each other.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. Our discussion is on the Problem Management Plus initiative by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The program comes against the background of an increase in suicide and a notable uptick in the demand for the ministry's mental health and suicide prevention helpline. By the way, you can find that at 888-NEW-LIFE or 888-639-5433. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is still with me in studio. So, Minister Tufton, you were speaking about the schools before our break, and that led me to the question of, we've discussed the structure of the program, but I want us to go a bit more into the people, the kind of people who would be eligible for these interventionists.
So there is a screening process. So once an organization, for example, at the graduation we had, at the launch, we had a number of persons from the faith-based community, the Seventh-day Adventist Church and so on. Right. We ask these institutions to recommend persons.
Oh, okay.
But they are also subjected to a screening. So certain questions are asked of them, certain checks are made. We want persons who qualify and have a track record of helping and a willingness and the right attitude.
Right.
Once we qualify, then we train. But invariably, these are going to be persons who can show empathy, who can assess, who are perceptive enough to assess a particular position or state of mind,
right,
who has some influence and respect in the community
and
in their institution. That's very important, because people are not going to just tell people their business unless they have a level of confidence that is going to be held in trust, and that they can depend on that person to give them their best advice.
So established leadership in the community.
Very, very important that we establish leadership and persons who are willing and able and who sort of meet that bill.
Understood, understood. Are we rolling this out across Jamaica all at once?
No, well, we have trained initially 100, and I think it's 120 or thereabouts. The intention is to expand, so we train in that group trainers,
right?
And then we have the problem solvers. So the trainers will go on to train more, and it's kind of a multiplier impact across the country. Now, what we plan to do is we're mapping the country to see some of those problem communities that may need the intervention the quickest.
Right.
You know, we know a lot of them already. I mean, we can sort of superimpose looking at some of the domestic violence data and things of that sort. But invariably, what I certainly would like is to have almost every community having a problem solver. Because let's face it, you know, things start small and they develop, they escalate.
Right.
And what you really need is to stave off some of those issues that could easily be solved before you get into a scenario where it becomes much worse. And so we're going to be collaborating with other agencies. We collaborate with the Ministry of Education, clearly our overseas multilateral partners like PAHO, UNICEF.
Yes.
But we will also collaborate with Ministry of National Security, Ministry of Justice. So we try to create a kind of network of persons who are in the community who will act as the capacity to intervene and to help to resolve some of these issues.
Understood. I have to ask, Minister, what does a win or the success of PM Plus look like for you?
Well, we have some base data which suggests the numbers of calls coming in and the, as I said, at the extreme suicide rates. And I really am hoping that we can see a reduction in those numbers. The numbers are going this way. We want to cauterize it and bring it down.
Right.
The issues in our schools, the deviant behavior, we have to try and get into that. The accident and emergency rooms, and we have historical data as to the trauma cases coming in and the type of cases. So what we will do is look at the interventions that have been made, because we're going to log these interventions.
Okay.
So we'll know, for example, that there's 120 persons intervened in 500 issues of giving support and problem solving over a 12-month period.
Okay.
And those 500 problems can be assessed to determine the extent to which they were either solved or resolved.
Right.
And a qualitative measure then can be derived from that to see how that intervention takes place, how successful that intervention was. So we can use both the data that we're collecting, and we will, as well as some of the macro data around some of the things that are happening now in the society, and assess the effectiveness or the impact of the program.
So this is one of those few places and few times where we want to see the line go down.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that would make a happier society.
I can understand that. Minister, we're almost out of time, but I don't want to finish this interview without giving you a moment to speak directly to the audience.
Right.
Your final word on PM Plus mental health, Jamaica.
Well, I want to say to Jamaica, to our viewers, that it is okay to feel lonely at times, to feel depressed, to feel as if you can't make it, to feel down. I'm using all the terminology that probably everybody can relate to. Even to feel as if you can't solve a particular issue that is bothering you. It is okay to recognize it, and it is okay to speak about it and to seek help for it. Because otherwise you internalize it. And the worst thing you can do with a mental health challenge or a problem is to deal with it in silence, either to internalize it or to try to take matters in your own hand when you're uncertain as to the resolution or the outcome. What we're offering is an opportunity for persons to solve those problems by talking to someone. Talk to someone who you know, who you respect, who you think has influence, can give you good advice. And once we do that, I think we create a gentler society, and a society that will support the kind of community spirit that we want for health and wellness and for development.
Thank you so much for that. This has been Get the Facts, and we have been discussing PM Plus, but in the larger context, we have been discussing the mental health of Jamaica. Our guest, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, just giving you that last bit there, telling you that it is indeed okay to deal with these problems. Don't internalize. Make use of the resources available to you. Resources like PM Plus, which are coming online, but also the Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Helpline, 888-NEW LIFE, 888-639-5433. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
Before the pandemic, we had a program called the HOPE program, where we assembled young people from all over Jamaica, and we put them into a short training program, and then we placed them into employment. We had as many as 26,000 youngsters going through that program. Obviously, we couldn't conduct that program during the pandemic. We are restarting these kinds of mass interventions with this specific intervention, which is called the National Service Corps training. Now, to be clear, we already have the Jamaica National Service Corps, which is a program that is run by the Jamaica Defense Force. This program is designed to take youngsters from these communities and expose them to a period of training, of personal and character development, of skills development. But the intent of all of this is to reach them in terms of how they think. It is to change their mindset and their outlook on life. In 6 weeks, you are not going to get the skill set that you need, the technical skill set. You get an exposure to it. In 6 weeks, we're not going to create masons and tilers, but you will be exposed. In 6 weeks, we're not going to transform you into a totally different person. But in 6 weeks, we can arrange programs such that you are, as a person, able to confront and start to grapple with the challenges that you face in your life personally, the challenges in your community, the challenges with your family, and to get you into a mode of thinking about what your future could be.
We're signing out for today, but not to worry. You can rewatch this offering or other content like this by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. Do join us again tomorrow on this same station as we bring another informative, educational and entertaining package of Jamaica Magazine. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.